Are you a martyr, a victim, or a jerk? Jennifer Thompson just wrote a book with that title. It looks at dealing with trouble in the workplace and all the personalities in the office. Joining us live to talk more about that, California-based Jennifer Thompson. It's great to see you, Jennifer.
Hey, Reggie, great to see you too.
Okay, let's go through these one by one and perhaps how we can identify them. How do we know there's a martyr in the workplace?
Okay, so the martyr, their payoff is they want you to know how much they're suffering for the cause. And the more you say, oh, thank you, the more they get their payoff. So it's more about suffering.
Got it. Who's a victim?
Oh, a victim. They tell the tales of woe is me. So it doesn't matter what it is, and it could be their own woe or something they read in the newspaper. They take on all the concerns of the world, and then they're the victim that holds that. So their payoff is pity and sympathy.
And I think these two we can kind of like almost hold space for. But the
Yeah.
jerk, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, the jerk is kind of the obvious one right there, and the aperture is so wide for that. So the book talks about, well, it's kind of threefold, right? The jerk I see in my peers, the jerk I see in my management, and how about this, the jerk I see in myself?
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. So that's what's tough because while you're reading this, of course, I think immediately your mind goes to which one am I?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, as the writer of this book,
Yeah.
have you identified with any of these, all of them at one point or another in your career?
Yeah, Reggie, most of the book, I would say at least a third of the stories in there are my own personal stories where I showed up as a martyr, a victim, and yes, a jerk. So as a martyr, particularly when I was first promoted to management, taking everything on for my team, thinking that, the more you suffer, the more it shows you care. So I definitely showed up as all three. And what's good for the readers of this book is that there are two different versions of assessments in there. So you can start identifying in your own habitat who's showing up in these roles and how to manage them. And I would say just as importantly, or maybe more importantly, is when we start showing up as a martyr, a victim, or jerk, saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to hold the mirror up and this isn't going to work for me any longer.
So, one thing that is difficult about interpersonal relationships in the office place is that it is not your job to change someone else's
No,
personality.
no.
The only thing you can really do is change your own behavior and the way
Yeah.
that you respond to them. So, if you have a jerk in the workplace,
Oh,
how do you
yeah.
deal with that?
Yeah. And Reggie, thank you so much for asking that because I imagine your viewers are going perhaps into some workplaces today where there's a jerk in there. And before they even get out of their car to go into the office, they've got that pit in their stomach. And one of the reasons for this book is to help mitigate that so people can really show up and start being more themselves in the workplace. So I would say the number one tip, don't take the bait. The jerk, their goal is to get control of your emotions. So if you don't take the bait, guess what? They can't win.
Interesting. I'm also curious of these three types of personalities. I think immediately we would just assume the jerk is the worst, but is it the most
Oh,
harmful?
well, Reggie, the jerk is the most obvious,
Yeah.
right? And it has the quickest in the moment fight or flight impact. You would be surprised with the research, and there's quite a bit of neuroscience research in the book about how the martyr and the victim can deflate team morale and can just take the energy out of a team dynamic or out of an organization. So we always put the jerk kind of like over here as the number one disruptive behavior. Oh, just please know the martyr and the victim are right there with them.
That is so interesting. And I guess I'd like to ask about your background. How did you come to these conclusions? What's your business background?
Oh, Reggie, I'm so glad that you asked. I never set out to write a book, particularly a book on interpersonal skills, although I'm obsessed with human behavior. So my background is information processing. How do I get a system to do what I want it to do? Transfer that to today, our operating system. How do I get an output that is desirable for me And more importantly, how do I change something I'm doing that's not working for me? So, for the past 15 years, I've had my own consulting company, and I've been collecting stories as I've been working through cases with different individuals and organizations. And then I realized I have a shoebox full of stories about people that are suffering in the workplace. So, I took that shoebox full of stories, did a bunch of research into why we show up in the workplace not unlike how we showed up on the playground when we were younger. Combine that
Mm.
with some solutions and some practical tools, and then Martyrs, Victims, and Jerks was kind of conceived.
Oh my gosh, you just took me back to kindergarten and just remembering the kids that would push
Yeah.
their way to the front to run into the swings. And Jennifer, I just
Mhm.
let them do it. I said, "You want to trip and fall? I'll be over here laughing."
Oh, Reggie, and they're in the boardrooms now, right?
That-
They're
yeah.
district managers, they're VPs. They went from pushing you on the playground and now they're running the organizations. And I'm saying, you know what? It's time that we really protect our perimeters and create our boundaries and start saying, hey, you know what? Enough's enough. This is my sacred space. So the book is written through the lenses of going on a safari. So you're on a
Oh,
safari in your own workplace to find the big three, the martyr, the victim, and the jerk.
I love how you put that. That's amazing. So the book again, Martyrs, Victims, and Jerks. It is out right now.
It
A
is.
pleasure talking to you. Thanks for introducing us to this concept.
Oh, Reggie, thank you so much for having me.
We'll be right back.